everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of BIZBoost Talks. I am your host, Tammy, Reese, with the one and only Dr. Norma McLauchlin. Welcome back, Dr. Norma.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
We're so glad to have you. Before we get started, I want to give an epic shout out to BIZBoost and my amazing business partner, Mahad and Ron. Thank you so much for allowing us to use the platform today. Dr. Norma, you've been doing so much during the month of August and have a busy and epic September ahead. Let's talk about the Forgiveness Gala. Last time we spoke, you were promoting the event. So how did it go?
Well, to be truthful, it went well. I didn't get to go. I had COVID. So
sorry to hear that, and I'm so happy that you've recovered.
Yes, we recovered. My husband and I both. We're doing well. And after that, my father passed. So it's been kind of a tricky month, but it's been good. And all the things I got back, all the comments, I was just saying that the things went really, really well. And I was really pleased that I wasn't there. Although my husband videoed it, and so I had an opportunity to see all of that.
Well, definitely sincere condolences from the entire BIZBoost family on the loss of your father. Is there anything you can share with us about him and what he meant to you?
Well, my father, who was a World War II veteran, he lived for 96 years. He was a wonderful father, because I have several memories of him growing up, from teaching me how to do judo when I was a young, because I was always the smallest, shortest child in every class. So he taught me judo so I could fight people. And but then he didn't know I was going to go to school and fight everybody, the boys. So anyway, I had to get tamed down from that. But he taught us everything. He taught me how to live, really. And to buy land, to purchase land, to always have something of your own. And he was really a phenomenal father, and it always had something to tell. He always had jokes to tell. He's the one who taught me how to dance. He's taught me how to do the jitterbug. Although we grew up in a church, he said, well, you still got to know how to dance. You have to know how to laugh. So he taught me that, and we always had an opportunity to dance together whenever we were out and about, or he was here visiting me, or I was there visiting him. But his most things he really liked to talk about, of course, was being a World War II vet. And I was also in the Army and also a veteran, so he thinks that made me follow in his footsteps.
Wow, thank you both for your service. That's definitely a huge honor. And thank you so much for sharing your father's story with our audience. Dr. Norma, we want to reveal to our audience about the Forgiveness Game book. I know there's a coloring book also attached, correct? What could you share with us? And how can they get the book?
The Forgiveness Game book, and it has a accompanying coloring book and journal. It is a fiction. My first attempt at writing a fiction, and it's built basically on my life. Well, at some points, there's some of my life, a lot of it is still fiction, but it's more on domestic abuse and on a lot of different things that happen in the life of a Christian. My whole purpose was in the book was to try to portray different things that we do or that we experience, or that so that we can forgive them. And so the book actually goes through different stories of things that happen with people and how they form the bitterness, within those and for those people, and ends up with the people having, or the person, the individual, the main character, having to forgive and learning to forgive all the other pieces in there.
I'm loving that you're so adamant and passionate about forgiveness, especially during these couple years of this pandemic and so much going on in the world. A lot of us have to tap into ourselves internally and remember that life is so short, and some things are truly worth forgiving. If it's forgiving ourselves, a parent, a spouse, a friend, a colleague, just a situation. And it's good that you're being an advocate for that, because life is too short. And as we want to be forgiven, we have to forgive others, Mm-hmm. It is so much to talk about with you on this, but I have to tap into Africa. Like, wow, within our culture, we call that the motherland. A lot of people say Black people should visit Africa at least once in their lifetime. Have you ever been to Africa? And what are you most excited about going?
No, I have never been to Africa. I'm really, really excited about this trip. Simply, not only that we're doing the TEDx and we'll be at the University of South Africa, but once that's completed, we actually do the tour. We're going to schools, elementary schools, and middle schools to share with the students there. We're taking our books. I'm taking my granddaughter's book that she's written, and some of the books that we have for children. And we're going to share that. We have an opportunity to leave our books in the library there. All that we have, the fun part begins after that, and we are moving on, and we will have an opportunity to go on a safari, the riverboat cruise, and all of that prior to our returning. And our return flight takes us back through London, so we have a few hours that we'll be able to see Paris on our way back. Hopefully that all works out. But BAM and the person who planned all of this with Black Authors Matter Tours has done an excellent job in making sure that we get the best opportunities that we can while we're on this tour.
Well, I'm definitely going to be living vicariously through you because I'm so excited as if I'm going. I'm so excited for you. Like, this is so huge and epic. And the young folks who learns about this tour is going to be so inspired. Like, wow, I can have my book in Africa. I can be a TEDx speaker. I can travel around the world and make an impact. You are such an inspiration, Dr. Norma.
Well, wow. Thank you. And I'm the book. I have another book which is I posted, but that I'm using there is called Living Forgiveness, and that just lets people know that no matter what, forgiveness is a lifestyle. And that's one of the things I'll be talking about. It's a lifestyle. And not only is it a lifestyle, but we know that forgiveness is the foundation for mental health, good mental health. And if you don't forgive, then you have all these other issues with mental health. And so, but in learning to do that, even if someone steps on your foot, if you get angry at that moment, but you shouldn't have, we need to learn that we need to forgive so that we will not be harboring all these things that are causing illnesses in our lives and other problems that we can encounter from having the bitterness in our life.
I agree. So we talked about the Forgiveness Gala, the Forgiveness Game book, TEDx speaking in Africa. Let's talk about this forgiveness retreat.
Well, the forgiveness retreat is scheduled to be held in the Grandfather Mountains. We usually take about 7 to 8 women, well, no more than 7 really, to this retreat where it's a 3 or 4 day retreat. And it is an awesome opportunity for people to dig down deep to try to realize what's causing them to stay in this rut that they're in. Sometimes we don't even know why. And that's one of the things with forgiveness, and my big thing now is also with boys forgiving their fathers, their absent fathers, but fathers who've abandoned them. Because in this retreat, we have found that a lot of these ladies, we take them all the way back and they end up in childhood. And if they come out and they say, well, I'm upset, I didn't realize this, but my father, I've never known a father. My father's never been there. Or even with the death of their father, but then they're angry with God. So I'm trying to do a study on the forgiveness of the absent father. Because once they forgave them in the retreat, they realized that they felt free, that they could move on with their lives, not even knowing that they were already stuck. But the freedom that came with that forgiveness, they were able to move on. Even those who had mental illnesses or those who had different types of issues, those people who were eating, alcoholics, drugs, or whatever, that we could actually go back and find that the abandoned father usually was one of the issues for them.
Someone typed in a question, and I'm going to elaborate on this amazing question. How do you deal with folks who deal with kids and family members who don't know forgiveness in their hearts? Like, say if someone is set in their ways and they're like, no, I'm not forgiving anyone at all whatsoever, and like no one can ever convince me. How do you get them past that hurdle?
And that's what we do at especially when we're at the retreat, is trying to get them all the way back to thinking. And in the first level, we do the rocking chair experience, where you get to sit in a chair and pretend whoever the other person that's hurt, that sometimes you don't even know, but there is someone in that other chair that's rocking for you. And I should focus this before I say anything else. If you are a Christ follower, if you are a Christian or whoever, then you need to make sure that you have no other choice. You have
Yeah.
other choices, no other choice for you but to forgive. But that is if you are planning to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And that's difficult for us, but we know that Christ died and to forgive us for our sins. If he can do it, then so can we. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But for a child, we as parents need to teach them, and we need to model and be a role model of forgiveness for them. Let them know that see you forgiving others and talk to them, because that goes all the way back to bullying in the classroom and bullying on the playground. A lot of bullies are carrying around a lot of hurt, because the bully and the bullier and the person that's being bullied, or the bullyee, have things in common that you can teach your child. Okay, he's bullying you, but let's try to find out why. Is he bullying you because he's hungry? Is he bullying you because his parents aren't there? Is he bullying you? So sometimes those relationships can end up becoming friends, or you could become friends. But also for the teachers in the classroom, if you have a bully, then you also need to deal with that bully instead of trying to punish them all the time, but especially if they're young, as to why they're bullying and why they're doing things to other people. We know sometimes bullies take lunch money. They take lunch money because they're hungry, not necessarily because they're mean
or something.
Right. So it's up to us as adults for that, is to ensure that why that person is doing especially that child is doing. But with adults, again, we need to be able to dig down deep and find that bitter root and why that bitter root is there. And a lot of times, it may come from abandonment. It may become from a mother who mistreated you. It may be coming from sexual abuse or anything that has happened in your prior life that you haven't dealt with. But no matter what, you still need to get past that forgiveness. And I think that people need to understand that the forgiveness is not about that other person, not about the person who harmed them, but it's for you.
Yes.
All you need to do, you need to say, I forgive that person. I forgive myself. I forgive God, and live with that and not worry about the other person, because the other person probably doesn't even know they caused you harm, unless it is something that they did, such as sexual abuse. But let it go. Just, we'll pray and we'll go through that process and we'll let it go. And sometimes it takes more than 1 or 2 times for you to go through the process. But once you do that, the main thing is that you fill that hole, that void that you've released that forgiveness from, with something else. And if you're a Christian, we're going to fill that with scripture and prayer. We give you scriptures and prayers and meditations and things that you can do to help you, especially when you think about it again, because you're going to think about it again. You're going to get angry again. But if you do, then let's do something else to help you overcome that. And I make myself available 24 hours a day if you get into a position, especially if you're trying to overcome alcoholism, if you're trying to overcome drug addiction, if you're trying to overcome something that you have, you're trying not to go back to, that caused you to be in the state that you're in. So we do that and try to do whatever we can to help you to move forward and stay in that space of forgiveness. And lots of times we help them do other things. They become writers, they become publishers, they start their own business, they become entrepreneurs. But anything that they can do to move past that point in their lives.
And help them cope with what they needed to forgive. A lot of people have been commenting saying they agree with you that forgiveness is challenging, but it's necessary. Holding on to things can be toxic or like poison. And just people are just relating to things that you're saying. Someone also said they taught their kids forgiveness. And it's definitely important. I'm glad that you touched on that. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in. We're talking with Dr. Norma McLauchlin about forgiveness. She has a forgiveness game book out, forgiveness retreat underway, recently had a forgiveness gala, just so much of advocating forgiveness, not for the other person, but for yourself. Now let's talk about your talk show, Dr. Norma. As I'm sitting here interviewing you, you interview people on the regular. Please tell our viewers about the show and when they can watch it.
Well, the show is Conversations with Chosen Pen, which is my company, and it's on Monday nights at 6:00 for the month of September. We'll be doing replays because I'll be in and out of everything for the whole month of September. But we interview just about anyone for the last 2 or 3 months, though, has been focused on forgiveness. We've interviewed therapists who talk about forgiveness. We've interviewed people who have experienced forgiveness. We interviewed people who attended our various retreats that we sponsored, and we have people, of course, who want to know, well, what is forgiveness? So within that, the therapists always talk about, and for me, they say, okay, the foundation, which is the next little piece I'm getting ready to put out, the foundation for mental health is forgiveness. And the therapists talk about how that's the first thing that they do when they have a session with an individual. They said, well, we may not call it forgiveness, but we've got to get back to why they're doing the things that they're doing. And even with people who have PTSD, they don't want to remember. If it's military people, they may not want to remember what happened. Right. But they still got to try to dig back into that, for what I call the bitter root, get back into what's causing you to have these particular actions before we can move forward to help you to become healthy, mentally healthy, relationship healthy, physically healthy, but to get you where you need to be.
Do you think peer pressure plays a part in trying to forgive someone? Like if someone's in their ear saying, no, don't forgive them, girl or guy, don't forgive them, because so-and-so. What do you think?
And I mean, that peer pressure can come from Satan all the way down to your best friend. Because, we always have someone sitting on our shoulder, the angel on one side, telling us, no. And our conscience is telling us, no, he harmed you, don't forgive him. And then if you have someone else, such as a friend, your close friend, your bestie, that tells you, no, how can you forgive that person? So you end up doubting yourself. They plant doubt in your mind. And if you're not a strong person, if you don't have someone on that other shoulder giving you more advice, that, in order to live, forgive is to live. It's one of my quotes that I say as well, because as Christians, we know that if you don't forgive, you don't live. You don't live the everlasting life. But you need to understand that everybody, just because they're your bestie, doesn't have your best interests at heart. They may think they do, but they don't always.
Wow. I hope people take that with care, because especially on everyone's individual forgiveness journey, us as individuals have to make that decision for our lives, if it's personally or professionally. And I love having these conversations with you monthly, Dr. Norma. Before we go, what else can they be on the lookout for from you? How can they contact you if they want to reach out?
Well, I think we've already talked about our month of September. Really not doing a whole lot. I'm doing a few little talk shows and conferences for other people during October and November. But October, on our talk shows, we're going to be talking about children and children's books. And if there are any children's books out there on forgiveness or whatever, things that we can do to help the children in school is what we'll be hitting on in October. But then, of course, February, we have our big writers cruise that we are really, really excited about. We're setting sail to write, or writing on the ocean, or writing, we got so many different names for that. But if anyone is interested in writing or just joining us on the cruise, please let us know. I mean, it's out there on Chosen Pen's webpage. And we will have, last year we went to the Jamaica for our writers cruise, and that was amazing. We ended up, we'll be publishing our anthology based on that. From the people who were there, and we'll be doing another anthology when we write on this next cruise as well.
That is a whole vibe, especially for writers. Writing on the cruise, what better can it get than that?
It's really going to be exciting. 5-day cruise, but only 2 days are really in our, I think, 3 or 4 day workshop. But you'll have assignments that once you go off, what you'll have to do and what you'll have to find, what you have to think about to write about in your writing assignment. So you have to find the culture, you have to look at the people, the whole thing, in order to incorporate in your story. The same as we did when we were in Jamaica. We had to incorporate all the things that we found there, where we lived, what we did. We had to write our story based on those things.
How fun. Dr. Norma, thank you so much for joining us on BIZBoost Talks again. Have an amazing September. Congratulations. And we are so honored to have you a part of the BIZBoost family. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Till next time, I'm Tammy Reese.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.